Hello and welcome back to today's final splash of paint. It's time for our regular introducing feature, where we throw the spotlight on another SAA professional artist who is causing a bit of a creative stir. It gives me great pleasure to introduce self-taught professional artist and instructor Gregory Wellman. So settle back as we find out a little bit more about him and watch his inspirational approach to painting in action.
Now, what I'd like to do is choose a very simple photograph, something that I'm familiar with, something that has easy, simple shapes in it and very simple composition. Just here I have a picture of an elephant that I took in Tanzania. It's a female elephant striding towards us in the Masai Mara Game Reserve. It's very simple, just an elephant and a landscape. The composition is not complicated, everything about it is simple. This is an exercise to be doing a quick painting sketch. Now, I've drawn out my picture, and now I'm going to go over that in paint as quickly as I can. In my palette, I've pre-mixed the colours I'm going to use. One thing that kills your creativity is spending ages mixing colours. So what I've done is chosen about 6 or 7 basic mixes, and I can get straight into the painting. I've sketched the basic composition out, and what I need to do right now is to set that in paint. If we look at this here, we've got about a third of the way down. Just going to mark in my horizon line, and then I go straight for the outline of the elephant. These lines are going to be painted over by the time we get further into the painting, so we haven't got to worry too much about those. Just want to get the very, very basics of a composition in. Just going to look at the trees in the background, just give myself a little bit of an idea the size of those trees. I make them reasonably big. If I make them too small, I'll be fiddling around for ages there. So, just delineating the main pattern. One of the reasons I chose that picture is because the strong contrasting sunlight is simplifying the elephant. That way makes the whole exercise quicker and easier, and this is about energy, getting something down as quick as possible. Remember, you're not trying to create a masterpiece. You don't have to show this picture to anybody. It's about getting going. Just be a little bit more careful where we paint the end of the trunk there. Just put in a few marks to indicate creases on the nose, and also just to shape the ears just a little bit so I've got a better idea where things sit. Okay, so that gives me a rough idea of the composition. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go straight in and get some of this background filled. Probably a different order to what I would do if I was painting a serious painting. Just careful with the background to make sure that the tone of it is quite light, so we give a sense of distance. I'm just going to vary different tones. Work in some dark moments at the base of trees. I'm using a palette knife to help the speed and to help cover a lot of the canvas board that I'm working on. And I can refine those shapes with a brush later. Now for speed, I'm using permanent sap green with some lemon yellow and some ultramarine blue. Now I'm going to work on the landscape. Now the grasses are quite light, so I'm going to tone those down a little bit more. I've got a nice mix here of white, lemon yellow, a little bit of ultramarine, and I'm putting in a bit of yellow ochre to start warming that up as we go. Notice I'm still using the palette knife and I'm dragging the paint down vertically to help cover it quickly. Also to give it texture. Some of this I'll refine with a brush, but some of it I'll try and leave. So it'll have that sort of energy that you get with palette knife work. Now, dragging down the same colour into the foreground, but later I'll warm that up. I'm going to leave an area in my mind. I'm thinking that just around the bottom of the elephant, I'm going to be putting in some grasses there later on. So I'll leave that a little bit free of paint for now. Now I'll need a little bit more of my raw sienna or yellow ochre. We don't need to be too exact for this exercise. So what I've got here on my palette knife, I've got a mixture of some dark tones and some mid-tones. And I've got them mixed so that we get lots of different variations in the colours, just to give that sense of grasses. Just want to make the background just a little bit paler. Now, I'm going to move on to the elephant now. I've already pre-mixed a dark tone, a mid-tone and a light tone. I'm going to use large brushes, keep using the large brushes. This is a number 12. Now, I've got a bit of bright orange colour in the background, which kind of acts as a little bit of a mid-tone. So I'm going to go for the light tones first. I'm basically drawing in this shape. It's amazing how instantly recognisable elephants are. You just get the general impression. This is far more about the process of painting, much less about whether it looks great. It's just important to make sure I shape the eyes. Go down the trunk. Need to add a little bit of burnt umber, that white. As we're all familiar with the fact that elephants tend to have some of the colours of the earth that they're living in on their skin. Let's work my way down. Now as the trunk goes down, it turns, goes into shadow. So I've just started to introduce a little bit of a darker brown colour. So here I'm just working in the mid-tone. And there isn't much mid-tone. A lot of it is light and dark. And I'm using black, something I don't often do, but for the speed of mixing colours, for this exercise, I think it's worth using black. One thing that makes me laugh about this picture is that you don't see any legs at all. It's just one central trunk. The shape comes down like a heart shape or a bulb, and just goes down to, it's a bit like a tree shape, and you've just got this one collection of legs. And yet, people do the rest of the work in their head. They just see that that is an elephant walking towards them. I'm never afraid to use my fingers. There's something quite childlike about being able to touch the actual paint. Still need more definition here, so I'm going to put in some dark darks. Now, I won't be painting in the eyes at all. I look closely at the picture, I can see the eyes a little bit, but we're looking for an overall shape. Let's go in there for a few more lights. The brush has got a bit dirty. Going to switch to another brush. Right into that. Now, definitely need some white here. Put those tusks in. And while I've got the pale, we're looking at putting a few extra marks into that. And where I'll take a bit more care. There's this little bit of trunk here facing us. Tiny bit of tone just there on the turn. So remember, this isn't about trying to get a fantastically accurate picture. It's about enjoying the paint, stirring up your creativity. Now, back to the palette knife. I'm going to introduce a few more warm colours at the end. So I've got some burnt sienna and some lemon yellow. Of course, if one of these paintings turns out to your liking, you can always develop it. But if you do that, it's really good to try and keep that energy of the first pass that you made at it. You redefine things, but try and keep some of that lovely energy you had when you first did it. A few darker tones at the bottom of the grasses to give them a little bit of shadow, and a little tiny bit of suggestion of the shadow of the elephant itself walking towards you. Just going to fill in a couple of little bits there. And definitely need some more white. Okay, so there you have it. A very quick exercise. It's got me painting. It's got me slapping paint on. Got my creativity up. I'm ready to paint.
Great approach there, Gregory. Really enjoyed watching your energy and enthusiasm stir up your artistic passion. Join us next time when versatile artist Louise Bogard shares their top tips for getting the best out of your flatmate. Popular SAA professional artist Warren Seeley returns to demonstrate how to paint a juicy still life, and Keith Fenwick shares some simple tips and techniques to break down all the key elements needed to create your own wonderful watercolour paintings. We'll see you very soon for another vibrant edition of A Splash of Paint.
Whether you're a beginner, improver or professional, discover more about the full range of SAA membership benefits available to bring a bigger splash of paint into your life. Visit www.saa.co.uk for details.